Well, today's episode we're going to do a little different now since the weekend is getting heavy. We're going to be reviewing GCW versus Vanguardia, which is a promotion that involves itself in death matches. This is some other region in Mexico, but that's not it. They're also going to do GCW versus Zona 23, which is another region in Hidalgo, where of course some say that that's the birthplace of where deathmatch wrestling originated in Mexico. But also we got New Japan Strong with the final episode of On Attack, where we're going to see Tomohiro Ishii take on Tom Lawler. And of course, we got some news updates we definitely got to be sharing with everybody what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with GCW versus Vanguardia, which is a promotion based in Mexico with involvement with deathmatch wrestling. It opens up with, of course, members of the roster of Vanguardia. And then, of course, GCW show up. Gringo Loco did a lot of the Spanish there. And apparently they had a little surprise for the guys from Vanguardia. It turns out that one of their own sides with them. So basically, he is a turncoat. Because they want to prove that GCW is the #1 best deathmatch promotion in the entire world. And that's something that's already been said, but we'll see from there. Now, the opening match is something that, normally starts with wrestlers you don't normally know. But we have Steve Mason versus Dragon Suicida. I like the name, Dragon Suicida. That's a catchy name. But I thought this match was pretty good because it had a little bit of the, of course, cruiserweight aspect of this match. But it was Dragon Suicida with the stomp on the chest, on the abdomen to Mason that allowed Dragon Suicida to pick up the win. Next up, we have tag team titles. We have the Lucha Maniacs tag team titles. We have a couple of guys coming from Japan, I think. Yuichi Kogura and Hanya taking on Epidemium Jr. and Juventud Heredia. I thought this match was really amazing because, it showed what kind of tag team we're seeing. Now, I never seen any of these guys, but I thought it was pretty cool. But it was, of course, what's his name? Epidemia Jr., who picked up the win by doing the spinal tap onto, I believe it was Yuchi, and I thought it was great. So they retained the titles. Next up, we got a three-way match. We got Gasparian Jr. versus David Rodriguez. David versus Gringo Loco. Now, Gringo Loco would do anything to pick up a win to prove once and for all that GCW is the far superior promotion in all of the world, and that's exactly what he's been doing. It was him with the pickup with the win when he pinned Gasparian, so that makes them right now 0-1-0. Next match, we have like a bit of a hardcore death match type match with El Saber versus El Galileo. This match was in the ring, outside the ring, however you want to put it out. But at some moment, this match ended with a count out because El Galileo, he had enough. He couldn't take it anymore because El Saber was blasting him. You probably can guess. So it was the right call for him. Next up, we got a very interesting tag team. We have Jitsu and Ray Dragon. I like that name, Ray Dragon. I used to be a dragon person when I was in college. But I have to say it was pretty good. And they take on, of course, the boys from GCW, Jimmy Lloyd and Cole Radrick. Not bad of a combination, but I think the lucha style of both Jitsu and Ray Dragon was far more superior. But it was Jitsu with the frog splash onto Jimmy Lloyd that gave them the win. So that means uh, um, Vanguardia are in fact one and GCW one. Now our next match is title versus title. We have the Vanguardia Extraordinario title and the DDT Extreme title on the line. So we have Jimmy, who couldn't make it, so Adrenaline took his spot for the time being until he gets better, but he faces Joey Janela, so this is winner takes all. Whoever wins gets the other title as well. I thought it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it, but it was of course Joey Janela with the stomp onto Andrea that allowed him to win the match. And as mentioned last time, he is now called Joey Three Belts Janela. Basically, he is the champion in 3 different continents. There's of course the GCW title in the GC Extreme title in the US, and then there's the DDT Extreme Championship in Japan, and now the Vanguardia Extraordinario Championship down in Mexico. So you can guess that works. Next up, we have a lights tube match. We have Crazy King taking on the Blood Fighter, Alex Colon. This is another one of those examples how why Alex Colon is a far more superior deathmatch wrestler. He is the most craziest SOB on the planet. But he did get the job done when he put the camel clutch onto Crazy King and forced him to tap out. So great superiority from him, so that goes well. Now our main event is an explosion glass tag team match. We have El Mago teaming up with Drew Parker, taking on Los Macizos, our current GCW tag team champions. Now you can guess there's a lot of explosions coming in left and right. I was going crazy because I'm like, oh, you don't know what to expect. But it was Parker who did the final blow when he used the light tubes onto Ciclope, knocking him out, winning the match. So I thought it was very interesting from there. So not bad. So Drew Parker and El Mago won this one. So I think that's pretty much it with this particular event. Now 2 days later they do GCW versus Zona 23. Okay, GCW versus Zona 23. This is round 2. This has been almost, what, a year since they've been there. Now, their place, as you know, Zona 23, their arena is the Junkyard. Now, this is not your typical type of place where you bid, but it's a lot of fun. You don't hear any entrance music whatsoever. Just to put it out, this took place on the 16th of October. Now, the first 2 matches, I got a little lost because I didn't know who they were. So the first match, it was a tag team match. We have this guy named Angelito something, and I forgot. I couldn't make out the name of his tag partner, but I do know I did hear the opponent's one of them name is Demonio Jr. and another guy named Rumba something. I thought this is, low-key type, low-grade wrestlers who I never heard of. But it seems the fans know who Angelito is. He's like basically he looks like he's the fan favorite. But he did pick up the win in this one when he applied a muscle buster on Demonio Jr. and giving them the win. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Now the next one I got confused with because we have a fatal 4-way match. I couldn't make out. There was no projector screen who is the wrestlers coming out. So we have one of the names Superboy Jr. and 3 other tag partners taking on a guy who seems like he's a fan favorite. And this one is Lunatic Extreme with 3 other partners. And this one was more of a bloody murder type match with a little bit of death match. But it was, of course, Lunatic Extremo who picked up the win for his team. I thought it was interesting. Now, the next few matches, they kind of seem like they're the main card. So this is who we have. We have Lunatic Fly versus Cyber Black versus Cold Radrick. Now, this is one of those matches that it goes beyond expectations. You know they're going to use every inch of their bodies to cut themselves wherever they're going to be at. I was a bit now. Many people like you would assume Cole Radrick had this one, has it on the back. No, it was seems like it was Cyber Black that did that. I don't know much about this guy, but he picked up a good one when he pinned Cole Radrick. He did like sort of like a similarity move to Last Dragon, but it's not that Chicago does, but it's not. Next up, we have Demus taking on Jimmy Lloyd. I thought this match was also another interesting development. Now, Demus, he's nuts. He's like the one of those crazy wrestlers that fans can get behind on because this guy loves violence. He took Jimmy Lloyd everywhere, but it was the actual moves that allowed him to win was the senton bomb that gave him the win. Next up, we got Cyclope versus Drew Parker. Now, this is the much interesting part. The fans are seem like they were way behind Drew Parker than Cyclops. I'm like, you probably think, wait a minute. Cyclops is Mexican. He is the fan. He is should be the standing ovation. Why they're giving a British guy the run for his money? I think Drew Parker is well known throughout the deathmatch world. Doesn't matter where, and I think that's what the fans appreciate because they say Drew Parker treats this like an art form, and I can see that. So it was pretty good, but I was enjoying every moment. Now, Cyclops could have won, but it was in fact the kick on the tubes that knocked him out and gave Drew Parker the chance to pin Cyclops for another win. Now, our next match is a false count anywhere. We have Cyclops' cousin, also a member of Los Mosizos, Miedo Extremo, taking on the Blood Fighter, Alex Colon. This is a false count anywhere match. Like, it doesn't matter where. They even use the trucks, they used the tables that were out there everywhere. It was bloody murder as well, but it was the Spanish Fly by Miedo Extremo that sealed the deal and landed on this wood plane onto Alex Colon, and 1, 2, 3, Miedo Extremo wins. Now, our next match, we have the bad boy, Joey Janela, taking on Pagano. Now, it appears Pagano doesn't seem like he likes Joey Janela. I don't know if he wanted to challenge him for the titles that he has, but it was a pretty good match. Very bloody murder. It took every ounce of strength and will for Joey Janela to try to put him away, but in the end, it was, of course, Pagano, who's the fan favorite, that picked up the win when he slammed Joey Janela on the chair. 1, 2, 3, it was done right there. So they picked up a good win. So I have to say, I enjoyed this one. So I think that's pretty much it with GCW in Zone 3, 23. I believe it's time to move on to our final review, New Japan Strong. Okay, the final of the Autumn Attack by New Japan Strong. As you know, we always have our openers with Ian Riccaboni and Alex Kozlov. They get a surprise visit from Ari Daivari, who's set to face Kevin Knight. It appears that he has his eyes set on Kevin Knight for him to join the Trustbusters because he believes now, since Kevin Knight has been adapting, becoming much better in his wrestling form, he wants possibly to recruit him. But the only thing that Kevin Knight needs to do is to survive. Now, the match itself was unbelievably good. I think I liked how Kevin Knight was able to withstand whatever blow Ari Daivari did. However, the one thing that changed the shift of it is, of course, Ari Daivari was in fact using the ring belt into his favor. So he thought maybe that could help him win, but it did not do any good for him whatsoever. Because the referee caught it, but when the referee had his back turned, Ari Daivari low blowed him and picked up the win. And I don't think Kevin Knight is going to accept any recruitment for him, no matter what Daivari is offering him. Next match, we have a very interesting tag team match. We have Alex Zane teaming up with the man, the myth, the legend, Mystico, taking on Blake Christian and Mascara Dorada. I thought this match was good. for two reasons. You got Blake Christian and Alex Zane. These two are no strangers to each other. They have faced off one another. They have teamed up together. And it's the same thing with Místico and Máscara Dorada. They know each other well. They faced off against each other and they teamed up before. So they have similar dynamics in both sides. But you cannot count out. But I think the biggest mistake that was made by Blake Christian is when he moonsaulted himself out to take out Místico, but it draw the attention. But it did give time for Alex Zane. But without Blake Christian noticing it, Místico tagged himself in. He thought he had the match won. But however, it was a beautiful Spanish fly by Místico that allowed him to pin Christian and win the match. And I don't think Máscara Dorada saw that coming. And I think we could see those two end up in World Tag League or or the Super Junior Tag League, whatever that fits in. Because I know Taiji Shimuri mentioned that Alex Zane should be in the heavyweight division. But we'll see what New Japan will say. Now, we received a very interesting surprise from none other than Kenny King. I wouldn't be surprised what his intentions are if he's trying to make a name for himself or try to prove he can take out anybody. But the one thing is clear, he's there. Now our main event is Tom Lawlor versus Tomohiro Ishii. Oh my goodness. This match was awesome. Not because Ishii won. I have to say, Lawlor put up every stop in every track to stop Ishii. Now, Ishii's not the kind of guy you know for a fact you say he's a weakling. No, he is a strong-ass competitor. But whatever you do not try to piss him off. And that's exactly what Tom Lawlor did. But it took every ounce of bit to try to stop him. But Ishii finished him off with a big lariat. And boom, 1, 2, 3. It's over. So good night, Lawlor. And Ishii picked up a good win. I have to say, I enjoyed this match. It was amazing. I have to say, this was a good ending for Autumn Attack. But we'll see what happens in the next tour they're going to do. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, news updates. Now, if you guys have been paying attention a lot, as you know, Deadlock Pro Wrestling has been doing a pretty good darn job in pushing in Yoshi wrestlers into the promotion. As you know, there's been combinations of Yoshi wrestlers that they never cross paths with each other, but their reputations have, been well heard. Like, for example, we did had Mayu Yamashita, the Pink Striker, taking on Miyuki Takase, who is, of course, a freelancer out in Japan and one of the founders of Nomads. That was a pretty good match. And then, of course, we cannot forget Maya Yuhiki, also from Nomads, take on the newly freelancer Jungle Kiona. That was a good match. And now we're seeing another thing going on. Jungle Kiona once again returns to DPW for Deadlock Pro Wrestling, but this time she faces Your Royal Highness Ami Sakura. I think this is going to be a good one as well to watch. I definitely don't want to miss it. Now, in the previous episode, I mentioned that Jacob Fatu will not be participating in GCW's Hit 'em Up in the Steel Cage match. It turns out that he got double booked again. So he pulled himself out of the GCW event, and he was already going to House of Glory because they were having the Exodus show going on around the same day. So basically, he was heading from the West Coast to New York. Now, this is not the first time that he has to cancel on GCW on being double booked. So I don't know if if he's going to receive any punishment or anything. That's something I don't know yet. Hopefully that could be. Hopefully if there's a case about that. Now, speaking of House of Glory, I did not see their latest show, but it was revealed that we got Of course, many Bullet Club fans are going to be happy to see this. We got Kenta making his way from Japan, debuting in House of Glory on the 17th of December. I'm sure everybody is going to have a blast with this. Now, finally, this was announced on Twitter by AAA Lucha Libre. As you know, they'll be heading on, next month. Soon they'll be heading to Tijuana for an event. But the interesting debut is being made. Rio One, aka Enzo Amore, will be making his debut there. So I'm very excited. But I wish I can go, but I'm not going. So that's pretty much it what we have for that. So let's just call it a day right here. Well, hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have more Choco Pro and, of course, Battle Atom by New Japan Pro Wrestling. And there's still some other wrestling shows I haven't got to see. As you know, we have 4 shows that came out on House of Glory Exodus, GCW Hit 'em Up, other ones. Oh yeah, Defy Kingdom Come, OVW, many others. And there's still some I haven't seen yet, like ICW, No Holds Barred. That's one. There's going to be a lot of things I have to cover, so I don't know exactly which ones I'm going to do first, but I'll get to that as soon as possible. But I may release a 2-video episode, one featuring Choco Pro and New Japan, and then of course there's possibly the later on the ones that I haven't seen yet. But we'll see from there. As we speak, Stardom already had their latest show. They continue on with the Goddesses Tag League. We'll see what happens then. Hopefully I get to see that soon enough. But if not, then we'll wait. But I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.